Okay, you guessed it, we've got another watch review. This is a Steinhart GMT Ocean I. It's actually a German company, but the watch is Swiss made, and it is a very high quality watch indeed. And a lot of the design patents that Rolex had have expired. I'm not a patent lawyer or a design lawyer or whatever, but I can tell you that manufacturers are allowed to use some of the design elements in their watches, and this is what Steinhart has done with this model. It looks very much like a Rolex GMT2. I had many Rolexes back in the late 70s, early 80s. This watch certainly reminds me of a GMT2 that I had. Now there are some design differences. If you look at the edge of the case, and you can look at my Rolex review on my Day-Date that I did, just search watch on my channel, and you'll see the shape of the case, and it's similar on the GMT2, and this shape is not quite the same. These ears, or whatever you would call them, are not as rounded down. They don't have quite the Rolex shape, but if you look from the top, the shape around the crown and so forth is all very, very similar. Same thing on this other side here. Not exactly the same shape as a Rolex, but I'll tell you, I really like this shape. I've only had this watch for about 24 hours, so this is an initial impressions review. It's very comfortable on the wrist. It sits nice and flat on the wrist. It looks a little more modern in my estimation. The way the band meets here, this is slightly different. Again, the shape of the case is slightly different. So Steinhart has done some subtle design cues here to just kind of update the watch. The watch is a little bit larger than the original GMT2. The face, everything, the hands, everything seems very high quality to me. The only gripe I would have about this watch, if I bring it around like this, let me put this clasp down, you can see on this side, you can see how this is sitting out. And it sits out also when it's on the wrist, because the curvature of the inner folding mechanism for the band, that's curved too much in my opinion. I don't know how they missed that. That's really the only quality control issue that I can see. Let me take this off, and then I'll go into more detail on this. Excuse me. Get this out of the way. That focus in. The band, there you go. You can see the curve in these two pieces. And when you put this together, okay, the curve does not meet the same curve here. So what happens is when this is clasped in, this piece sits up a little bit here, up away from the band instead of sitting flush like this. See, this has too much curve to it in my opinion. Don't know why they did that. I've compared this to some other watches with similar clasps that I have, which lay flat, and no problem whatsoever with this having less curve in it. So I'm not sure what Steinhart was thinking about there. Now, many users would say I'm nitpicking here. It still looks very good on the wrist. Matter of fact, I'll put it on my wrist now. Okay, so it's on my wrist now. Let's let that focus in. Again, sits very nice and comfortable on the wrist. You can see how that is sitting up a little bit on the wrist. And to me, that kind of takes away from the overall very good fit and finish and quality of this timepiece. Now the band, the rest of the band, I will say, it has screws to adjust it. So you unscrew it, pull the screw out, take out a link, put it back in. It's very easy to do an adjustment if you have a 1.5 flat screwdriver. The ratchet for this bezel, let me take it back off so I can do this. The ratchet for the bezel is very smooth, very, very smooth, very nice clicks, just as good as my Seiko bezel and some of my other watches, the bezels. Very good. Only my Invicta bezel is a little bit stiff to move. The rest of them work really well. So they did a great job on that. This, of course, is a GMT, so it has a 24-hour hand that goes around once every 24 hours. So you can rotate the bezel and you can keep time in different time zones. I did the adjustment, and apparently you can move the 24-hour hand independently of the other hand, which I seem to remember my GMT2 was opposite that. I could move the regular hour hand independently, but I could be wrong on that. It's been many years since I played with a real GMT, you know, Rolex GMT2. So the big question is, will this watch displace, put this down, my Seiko, which I actually did a review on this a month or so ago, saying this is the best watch ever. Now, I said that because, well, there's several reasons. You have to take a look at the review, but the biggest reason is comfort. This watch is every bit as comfortable on my wrist as my Rolex Day-Date, which is an extremely comfortable watch. I did a review on it recently. Just search Rolex on my channel. But the advantage of this watch is I can see the time much easier. The hands and everything, it all stands out. I can see the time much easier. So that's why I kind of gave this the edge. This watch is titanium, extremely comfortable in all temperatures. The watch disappears on your wrist. Now, which watch is more attractive? That's a subjective decision. You know, you have to decide on your own which you think is more attractive. This Steinhart is a beautiful watch. It retails for about $600 US. This watch around $1,000 US, so it's more expensive. But man, it's tough. If I had to decide, if I had to run out and just grab one watch, if I had to decide which one to grab, I think it would still be the Seiko, but it's getting to be a pretty tough decision with this Steinhart. It's a heck of a watch. If you like a watch that's a little bit heavier on your wrist, has a little more wrist presence, you want a steel watch, not a titanium watch, definitely go with the Steinhart. The Steinhart, so far, seems to be a little more accurate. It's just running a couple seconds fast after 24 hours. My Seiko here has settled down to where it's actually running slow, which I don't like. I'd rather a watch run a little fast. So it's actually running a little bit slow, maybe even as much as 4 or 5 seconds a day slow after a month's constant use. So it's kind of settled down to where it's a slow runner. It's my only watch I have so far that's a slow runner. Most of my watches run a little bit fast each day, including the Rolex ones, about a second and a half fast each day. So anyway, there's my look at the Steinhart. Share your comments and let me know what you think. And I'm also going to have a link to a whole bunch of photos. We will see. I'm going to put some follow-up comments myself after I've worn it for a while as far as accuracy and how it's settling in. I'm going to wear it every day for at least a month, and I will give you an even more detailed report in the notes, in the comments on this video. Thanks for watching.